two F-150s roll over 100,000 miles on the same day. One owner spent about $1,300 on this truck over 5 years. In $100 chunks he barely noticed. The other spent nothing, and he's about to spend $3,000 in a single afternoon. Same truck, same miles, the only difference is a list. Here's what most owners never catch. Ford publishes 2 maintenance schedules. The normal one pushes transmission fluid out to 150,000 miles, axle fluid to 150,000, coolant to 100,000. Then there's the severe duty schedule, same manual, and on that one axle fluid is due at 30,000, transfer case at 60. So which are you on? If you tow anything, haul weight, sit in traffic, take short trips, or live somewhere genuinely hot or cold, you're severe duty. Which is most truck owners in America, running the light-duty schedule on a truck they use like a truck. So, 7 things, and for each one what it costs to do, against what it costs to skip. Number 1 is the biggest dollar gap on the list, the transmission fluid. Straight to the math. A drain and fill at a shop runs $400 to $600, about $130 in fluid and a filter if you do it yourself. A rebuild is $3,000 and up. And be fair to Ford, on a truck that never tows, $150,000 is defensible. But that fluid breaks down under heat, and towing is a heat machine. Which is why plenty of techs run that drain and fill between $30,000 and $60,000 on a truck that works. One important warning though, if you're past $100,000 with no record it's been done, have a shop evaluate it before anybody just dumps fresh fluid in. On a neglected high-mileage unit, the obvious move isn't always the right one. The next one depends entirely on which engine is under your hood. Number 2, spark plugs, and about half of you are following the wrong interval. If you've got a 5.0 or a naturally aspirated V6, plugs are roughly a 100,000-mile item. If you've got an EcoBoost, the 2.7 or the 3.5, it's about 60,000. So here's the trap. If you own an EcoBoost treating plugs as a 100,000-mile job, you may already be 40,000 miles past due. And that doesn't just mean a rough idle. Worn plugs make the coils work harder, so a $200 to $300 job starts collecting misfires and coil replacements on the way to becoming a much bigger one. Check your engine, not the internet. The next fluid has the widest gap Ford gives you, and it fails without telling you. Number 3, the rear differential. No warning light, no code, no message on the dash. What you get is a whine that gets louder, and by the time you can hear it, the damage is already in the metal. That's what makes this one different from everything else on the list. There's no dashboard telling you you're late. And you probably are. Normal schedule, 150,000. Severe duty, 30,000. Sit with that, 30 against 150. That's the biggest spread on Ford's entire chart. Gear oil works hard when you tow. It gets hot, it shears down, and it quits protecting. The service is about $200 at a shop, or $20 to $30 in gear oil in your driveway. A differential rebuild is nowhere near that. The next one only matters if you've got 4x4, and skipping it can point you at the wrong $900 repair. Number 4, the transfer case, and the 4x4 inspection that goes with it. The fluid first, normal 150,000, severe 60,000, about $200 at a shop. Same story as the diff, a sealed box of gear oil nobody thinks about until it's grinding. But here's the part that's worth more than the fluid. While the trucks up there get the 4x4 hardware inspected, Ford calls for that around 40,000 miles. These trucks use a vacuum system to hold the front hubs disengaged, and when it leaks you get a grinding noise up front that shops routinely quote as a CV joint, $800 to $900. Caught on the lift as a vacuum problem, you're often into it for a few bucks. Same noise, 2 completely different bills. The next one doesn't care how many miles are on your truck at all. Number 5, brake fluid, and this one ignores the odometer completely. The interval is every 3 years, period. Doesn't matter if you drove 50,000 miles or 5. Why? Brake fluid absorbs moisture out of the air, and moisture drops the boiling point and corrodes the system from the inside. A truck sitting in a driveway does it just as fast as one that's working. So picture the guy putting 5,000 miles a year on a weekend truck. He looks at that odometer and thinks he's barely used it. His brake fluid is years overdue, and the mileage will never tell him. Check the date, not the odometer. The flush is about $100. Corroded lines and calipers are not. and the next fluid can look like it's working long after part of it has quit. Number 6. Coolant, the one that fails quietly. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Coolant does two jobs. It moves heat, and it carries corrosion inhibitors protecting your water pump, radiator, and heater core. Those two jobs don't wear out at the same time. The additives go first. So your temp gauge sits right where it always does. The coolant is still cooling, while the protection package is already gone, quietly letting corrosion work on parts you can't see. Ford's first change is around 100,000 miles, then every 50,000. It runs about $90 to $120. A heater core replacement means pulling the dash apart. Now, the first 6 keep the truck alive. The last one protects what the truck is worth. Number 7 is free, and it's the only one here that isn't a repair. Keep the records. Every job here, keep the receipt. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't even know what's already been done, start with the VIN. Any Ford dealer can pull the service history, and a lot of it shows up in the Ford Pass app. Costs nothing to ask. Just know the limit that only captures work done at a Ford dealer. Independent shops and previous owner driveway work won't be in there, which is exactly why you start your own folder today. Because here's what it's actually worth. Mileage tells a buyer how far your truck went. Records tell them how it got there, and you'll see this from the other side eventually, when you're the one looking at somebody's truck asking what's been done. The guy with a folder hands you the folder. The guy without one tells you a story. Right now, you're either building that folder, or you're the guy telling the story. So what does the whole list actually run you? Add up the 6 paid jobs: transmission fluid, plugs, rear diff, transfer case, brake fluid, coolant. At shop prices, you land around $1,300, spread across years. Do the fluids yourself and you're well under half that. One transmission rebuild is $3,000 and up. So you could run this entire list twice and still come out ahead of one repair you didn't have to have. That's the whole video. Every item here is a small known cost standing in front of a big uncertain one. Now, if you're watching this at 120,000 thinking you already blew it, you didn't. None of this becomes impossible after 100,000. It stops being cheap insurance and starts being overdue. And there's a difference. Here's your catch-up order. 1. Figure out honestly whether you're severe duty. 2. Pull the VIN history and see what's actually documented. 3. If transmission service is overdue and the history is unknown, make that the first thing you get evaluated. Evaluated, not automatically serviced. 4. Then work down by cost risk, differential, plugs, brakes. Your interval was never really about the odometer. It's about how the truck actually gets used. So, which of these 7 have you actually done? Be straight about the transmission fluid because that's the one everybody skips. Drop it in the comments. And if this list made you a little nervous, next up is what actually breaks between 100 and 200,000 miles and what each of those repairs really runs. I'll see you there.